America was built by immigrants. We hear this all the time, but is that really true?
First and foremost, Black Americans built this country.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back. So some immigrants proudly say, we built America, but Black Americans push back and say, our ancestors built America with blood, sweat, tears, and their lives, and that history must be recognized. So in today's video, we are going to break down the real contributions of Black Americans and immigrants and why acknowledging both matters for justice, unity, and truth. Let's dive into it.
It's Black History Month, and understanding all the turbulence and all of the social just devastation happening in the US right now, there's an ongoing conversation about immigrants building America. You can go to many cities and many states in America and you will find great immigrant contribution. Immigrant contribution so important that it added to the social aspects of these locations. Haitians in Chicago, right? Nigerians in Texas, Chinese people in California, many more. Caribbeans in New York, for example. And it's true. These things are true. Immigrants have showed up in different corners of America. They've done their thing. Immigrants contribute greatly to the social understanding of what America is, especially by region. But there isn't a square inch, a mere foot, a pile of sand or dirt in America that you will put your foot on that has not been modified by the bloodshed, hard work, and torture of Indigenous and African Americans. Once again, while you can go to some places and find great immigrant contribution, Latin people in Miami, yes, you will always, no matter where you go in America, you will always step on the blood and hard work of African Americans and Indigenous people, because they are the ones who built this country through sheer pain and slavery. The infrastructure of the US is on their backs. And while the work of immigrants is not dismissed, immigrants contributed on top of that, not from that. I'm not even sure why this is a conversation. Yes, immigrants are important to America. Immigrants are important, period. But immigrants didn't build America. Immigrants added on to something that was already being built non-consensually, obviously, the enslavement of these people.
First and foremost, Black Americans built this country. And that's not like a rhetoric, that's not like ideologically built it, like bare hands built this country, from Jamestown and swamps to privatized prisons in 2026. And there's two things I want to say before I finish this video. One, it's not like Black America existed in a vacuum, right? Of course, there's contributions. Of course, immigrants have come to America, contributed, built as well. But if we're going to use that type of rhetoric, if we're going to make a definitive statement of who has built America, Black Americans got to be at the front of the conversation. Like it is what it is. Maybe we could say Black Americans and immigrants built this country. Maybe we could say the African diaspora built this country, but immigrants built this country. Like, that's not the verbiage. I don't think that's the one. The second thing I want to say is Black Americans came to America completely against their will. Forced to live and build a life in America. Now, everybody else, for the most part, of course there's differences, but for the most part, everybody else came to America looking for a better life. Whether that was just directly searching for better circumstances or seeking asylum from the conditions of their home country. There's a stark difference between those two. But with that being said, if we're going to move forward and continue to fight this authoritarian fascist government with our rhetoric, I think the narrative that we should be employing is removing the credibility of the idea of an immigrant altogether. In other words, we need to start calling white people immigrants. In my view, the only people on this land who are not immigrants are indigenous people, for obvious reasons, and Black Americans. Because being displaced from your home and forcefully brought here is not the same thing as being an immigrant. I think those are the only two groups that we should not be comfortable calling immigrants in this country. So yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say that because I'm big on narratives, I'm big on words, and I'm big on using them with the intent of breaking this shit down altogether. Peace out.
And another thing about Shabuzi getting up there flapping his gums talking about immigrants built America, I want to know what y'all mean by built. Because when foundational Black Americans say that they are the foundation of this country, they're not just talking about building the White House or, Seneca Village or Black Wall Street or any other things that we built in this country. Like physical structures. We're not just talking about the physical structures. Foundational means we built the civil rights that you're using to come over here now. Black Americans built the country that you were able to come to take advantage of. Because I guarantee you, if I go to one of them countries that y'all say I look like so much, they not giving me shit. But when you come here, you can take advantage of all of our systems. Why? Because of my ancestors. Because of us. And then to turn around, get successful in our country, and then say, well, we built it all along. It was immigrants that built it. It's a slap in the face. It really is. And the way that y'all refuse to see the disrespect, I don't believe that you don't refuse. I believe that you know what you're saying. I believe every immigrant that says immigrants built America, while bypassing Black Americans, know exactly what they're doing. And it is direct disrespect to Black Americans in this country and our ancestors and everything that we've accomplished, because you wouldn't even be able to be here to say that had it not been for us. And that's what we need to understand is Black History Month. Black History Month is about Black American history. And if you want to participate in Black American history as an immigrant, that's what you need to do. If you want to participate in Black History Month, you need to be learning about Black American history all month long. Participate by boning up on the things and accomplishments of Black Americans, so you can stop being ignorant and say ignorant things that inadvertently or on purpose disrespect us. Because come on, we're done with this. It's the big 2-6. We're done with this.
So I just came across a video from a Nigerian American man who was explaining how Shabuzi's speech at the Grammys, talking about how immigrants built America, how Black Americans are taking it out of context because there's so much distrust in our community and in our country. Me, as a Black American, I'm taking that as him saying, you guys just have so much trust issues because that's not what he meant. Like, you guys just need to relax. Unfortunately, you guys are responding to his speech this way because the climate that this country is in. Again, to me, this is me personally, as a Black American, I am offended by Shabuzi's statement and offended by this man's response to Black Americans' response. I want to address a couple of things regarding Shabuzi's speech. I think it is once again so disrespectful and belittling for anyone to comment on Black Americans' response to Shabuzi's statement stating that immigrants built this country, because it is wrong. And when we Black Americans point that out, when we say that is not true, these are the facts, the response to us is like, ugh, again, you guys always have to center yourselves. This isn't the time to be doing this. Shut up. So when is the time? Because it seems that anytime we try to correct people on American history, on Black history, we're told to be quiet. It is never, ever, ever the wrong time to provide an accurate version of history. It is never going to be the wrong time to tell the truth. It is never going to be the wrong time to educate someone on facts. It will always be the wrong time to allow someone to run off with false narrative and then repeat that false narrative to major audiences. The second thing I find offensive are all the people going, you guys know what he meant. You guys just want something to be mad about. How would we know what he meant? He didn't say Black Americans built the foundation of this country on top of stolen land, had to fight for civil rights, which allowed for immigrants of color to then come here and build on top of the foundation they built, and it helped sustain this country. He didn't say that. So how would I know that's what he meant? He said immigrants built this country. Why would I know that's what he meant? That's not what he said. So yes, he's going to be corrected. There's going to be criticism. And when y'all allow shit like that to slide, all it does is further the divide. And someone is telling an inaccurate story of history in a time where history is being erased, specifically Black history. When that is happening, you need to correct them immediately. You need to educate them immediately. You don't wait. You don't wait just because, oh, we're in a moment where immigrants are the center of danger. Yes, they are. But that doesn't give the excuse to then give false narratives. It just doesn't. You can center immigrants. You can prioritize immigrants while still telling an accurate version of history, while still giving credit and appreciation to the people who suffered before they got here. It's very frustrating. And this is what I mean. It when you let shit like that happen, it just builds resentment, builds distrust. At no moment should we ever excuse the erasure of a group and their contributions and their history. Just like we should not allow it for immigrants.
America was built by immigrants. We hear this all the time, but is that really true? Look, I'm a legal immigrant, but I've seen such a shift in the mentality of my fellow immigrants, especially in the last 25 years. When we first got here, the focus was assimilation because we moved here for a reason, right? We left our home, our family, our friends, we left everything that we knew so that we could have a better life here. And that's because America could give us opportunities that our country of origin just couldn't. So our allegiance should be to this country, right? Because we've chosen it. We should want this country to succeed and we should work for this country's survival and betterment. Somehow we went from that perspective to my loyalty will always be with my country of origin. I shouldn't have to change and I shouldn't have to learn the local language and I should not have to assimilate. America was built by immigrants. America was built by people who took immense risks of leaving everything behind, leaving civilization behind, to brave dangerous seas, to overcome famine, disease, and to face the great unknown, to create something out of nothing. And more recently, to take what already existed and make it better. America has been built by pioneers, not by people who come here to fly the flag of their country of origin and live off of benefits.
The new mayor of New York gets up and tells the world that immigrants built New York. I got nothing against immigrants at all, but I do have something against people who erase historical facts. Just to be clear, enslaved Black people built New York and every other state in America. There's like receipts, literal receipts, with the amount of enslaved persons it took to build each city or building. The White House. Yeah, the disrespect, I'm over it. I'm done with it. I love you, Black man. I love you, Black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
Earlier I got on today and I was pretty hot at Shabuzi and all the Shabuzis in the world who claim that immigrants built this country. Okay. It's starting to appear to me, and I said this earlier, but I was a little bit hot-headed at the time, and I don't want to come off hot-headed, but this really pissed me off. And it's still pissing me off. But it just appears to me that people like Shabuzi and the rest who believe immigrants built this country are doing this to support white supremacy. And the reason why I say this, and I know it sounds odd, but first of all, let me say that one of the reasons. The reason why they're saying this is because they want a certain narrative and they want to rebrand the country, right? They want to rebrand the country. But here's another reason. And this right here really, they are continuously promoting white supremacy like they made a deal. I know you're like, how in the world is that? We're saying immigrants built this country. Immigrants. Well, because Europeans were immigrants. All of white America descended from immigrants. See what I'm saying? White America had full countries prior to coming over here. Yeah, they're immigrants. They had full everything before coming over here. Mm-hmm. Voluntarily. And they all did it to make a better life. See? Same thing today's immigrants do, right? And to come over here just like the European immigrants did, and to not even give credit to the indigenous at all. You're doing the same exact thing. Same exact thing. And to lie and rewrite history. I'm telling you, when I look at them when they say this, and I'm not joking, when I look at them when they say this, I feel like I'm looking at the same people. I feel like I'm looking at the same lying behind spirit. when immigrants say exactly and do exactly what white Americans are doing. This is a land of immigrants. This is a land of immigrants. This is a land built by immigrants, built by immigrants, built by immigrants, knowing full well the indigenous and black America did the building. Full well. Full well. It's almost as if they planned it together. I know it's not, because there is no freaking way that you can come over into another country that was founded in 1776 and fully functioning before it even became a global superpower, fully functioning, and say that you built it when the stuff that was built in the United States of America created the cities and the towns that we live in today. Meaning that black America built these freaking towns.
When we talk about who built America, we are not just talking about buildings, railroads, businesses, or technology. We are talking about sacrifice, labor, suffering, innovation, culture, and survival. And history shows us something very important. Black Americans and immigrants both contributed to America, but under very different conditions. Black Americans did not come to America looking for opportunity. Their ancestors were kidnapped, enslaved, sold, and forced to build a nation that denied them humanity. They built America's early wealth through cotton, tobacco, sugar, and rice plantations, farming that powered global trade, infrastructure like roads, ports, and early cities, skills in carpentry, blacksmithing, masonry, and agriculture, labor that made America one of the richest countries in the world. They built the White House, universities, they built farms that fed Europe and America, and they did it without pay, without rights, without freedom. And even after slavery ended, Black Americans continued to build America through sharecropping and industrial labor. The civil rights movement that forced America to live up to its constitution. Cultural contributions like jazz, hip-hop, gospel, blues, and modern pop culture, science, military, and political contributions despite segregation. Black Americans didn't just build America physically. They built it morally by forcing it to confront its hypocrisy. Immigrants also played a huge role in America's growth. They came from Europe, Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Caribbean, seeking opportunity, safety, and freedom. Immigrants helped build railroads, factories, and steel industries, Silicon Valley, and modern tech companies, small businesses that drive local economies, medical, scientific and academic institutions, construction, agriculture, hospitality, and service industries. Immigrants brought innovation, languages, food, culture, and entrepreneurship. They turned cities into global centers of trade and creativity. Many immigrants worked extremely hard, faced discrimination, and struggled to survive. Their contribution is real and undeniable. Most immigrants chose to come to America. Black American ancestors were forced to come. Immigrants often arrived with dreams of freedom. Black Americans were forced into chains, laws that ban education, family, separation, lynching, segregation, and systemic discrimination for centuries. So when someone says, immigrants built America, Black Americans hear something different, like their history is being erased. Because before immigrants arrived in large numbers, Black Americans had already built the foundation of the American economy. Recognizing Black Americans' foundational role does not erase immigrant contribution, and recognizing immigrants does not erase Black American suffering and achievements. Black Americans deserve recognition for building America with blood and tears, and immigrants deserve recognition for building America with innovation and labor. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.